Welcome to the Grow and Expand with S podcast, where we break through limitations, we heal from within, and we step into our most expansive, highest, most fulfilled, and happiest lives. Thank you so much for joining me in today's episode as we warmly welcome Belle V. Belle is an award-winning photographer, speaker, and founder of the Camera Queens, Australia's largest community for female photographers. But more than this, since the moment I met Belle, she is a powerhouse, fierce energy that just brings out and inspires you to operate at your absolute highest self level. And that's why I've got you on the show today, Belle. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to be here. Look at this amazing space. It's so good to be here and have a chat with you.
Thank you. I can't wait to give the listeners all of your magic and all of your wisdoms and energy. I suppose the way I wanted to kick this off was the thing that stood out to me the most is the energy that you hold, the confidence, empowerment, and really how you carry that. It almost drew me up, right? From where I was particularly sort of feeling to then where you could just get me there in almost a split second. That powerhouse energy is how I'm going to describe it for the rest of today. Was that always the energy? Like, was that always your energy? Do you look back at childhood and that was always you? Or is that something that you've developed?
Oh, this is such a great question. I have really come from a place of doubting myself, from having imposter syndrome, from having that whole comparisonitis and just not feeling good enough. And that has been like the thorn in my side my entire life of just not feeling good enough. And it's something that I'm really aware of and something that I've, that's my limiting belief. Well, that's my story that I've constantly, no matter how much inner work, all of the things, I could go on 20,000 retreats, and that's literally the thing that is still kind of hanging over me. And I think before I used to want to get rid of it. And be like, no, I feel shame. That's not a part of me. Like, I just want to get rid of it. And now I'm like, okay, hello, my old friend, sit in the back seat. You're not driving anymore. You can still hang out, but I'm in control. And so I think that it's really important for me to be in my body.
Yep.
And so many of us live in our heads, as you know.
Yep.
And we've been conditioned to feel like that is, just want to get rid of it. And now I'm like, okay, hello, my old friend, sit in the back seat. You're not driving anymore. You can still hang out, but I'm in control. And so I think that it's really important for me to be in my body.
Yep.
And so many of us live in our heads, as you know.
Yep.
And we've been conditioned to feel like that is the only way, that's our normal, right? And our nervous system is so heightened. A lot of the time we're running in that fight or flight and we're just on, cortisol's running through our body, adrenaline's running through our body, and that's our normal. And we don't really know any different. And it was probably about 2018, I started really going, is this how it's always going to be?
Yeah.
Chaotic. I was a birth photographer, so I was on call.
Oh, yeah.
So I was literally like on call being like...
And even before the call, you're on call, right?
I'm heightened.
Hypervigilant, yep.
It was just like bing. And it really was affecting everything, actually. My relationships, how I could actually just show up just for family shoots. I actually had a corporate job back then as well. So I didn't realise how much I was running in that heightened state. And then when you start doing that inner work and you start actually going, oh, like this is what it feels like to be grounded and calm and to be in my parasympathetic nervous system, like, wow, like this is amazing. Then you can see the difference. So my intention for every single photo shoot is to get the person in front of me in their body and not in their head, because so often we're living in that head space.
Yeah, that's so powerful and beautiful how you've described it. And my journey is very similar. I'd say for such a long period, these limiting beliefs right? The limiting beliefs we have, the stories we tell ourselves, the conditioning, it's so strong in our bodies that almost energetically we show up in a way to overcompensate for it. And so we become energetically really strong, but it's from a place of heaviness to try and outrun almost what we're carrying. And then there is this place, and I've reached it, where you release those limiting beliefs and those wounds and the things that hold you back, and then you're still in that energy. That energy never goes anywhere, but it just is. Like it just is. You know what I mean? Like it's being more than forcing almost, if you know what I mean. And so I know, like, when we did our photo shoot together, there was a lot of nerves from me, like getting in front of that camera like that, obviously stepping into that space. But then when you embody that energy of yours that you have, it naturally just brings that out in people, and it activates them. It activates that part of them. So when they walk away, they're connected in energetically, right? Once we're activated, we're activated.
I love this. I love this so much. And I think that there's certain people who I probably wouldn't ground in.
Yeah.
You know, they're just not even open to that yet. And their preconceived ideas of what a photo shoot is and isn't is already so set that, you know, I don't have like a week to go through the mindset and like the embodiment practices and things like that. But with you straight away, I was like, look, you're up for it.
Yeah,
Let me just drop you in. And it also drops me in.
Yeah.
So when I'm driving to the shoot, I'm doing my routine to sort of get me really like in that supercharged state. And it's a creative process. So I trust that as soon as I walk in there, we're going to co-collab. That
and
your
you're
energy,
good with facilitating it.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I think it's really important because a photo shoot to me isn't just about pretty pictures, you know, or getting a new headshot.
Though you deliver them. You do deliver them.
I think it's so about like, you know, embodying that future self and your big vision and really reaching up higher and like thinking about your mission and what you're here to do on planet Earth and what you really value and being able to kind of anchor that 5D into the 3D.
Yep.
And, you know, someone once described it as a shamanic photo shoot. And I was like, what?
I get it. I get it.
I don't see that. And I just think everyone does it. Like every photographer does this.
Fuck no, they don't. Fuck no, they don't. No, I've had photographers. So this is what I'm planning to do, you love it. There's going to be a post. I'm launching a Changemaker series, which is about how to operate your business from your divine feminine high self energy and let her lead, and you'll grow and expanding to her and your business. Anyway.
Love.
And as part of that, the post I'm going to do is to show the energetic transformation that I've had in my photography. Not just picking the photographer, which I started out with a male. Can you believe that?
Yeah, of course.
No. It's a mismatch. Like, you know, like I'm not talking my corporate law photos. I'm talking my soul-led business back then in Toowoomba, the most conservative town. Like, he was more awkward than I was.
Right.
So you can imagine as I'm just taking that leap and making that bridge and this person's reflecting awkwardness back at me. Like, and so I'm going to do this post about my kind of energetic upgrade because energy doesn't lie, right? And you can see it. And then, no, there's certainly going to be photos in there from photographers that that ask you, what do you want to do? And so there's definitely obviously a requirement of you getting your vision across to and doing what you want to do. But then there's such a beautiful, great power in someone who knows the energy you want to reflect, because that's what you asked me a lot of questions about. And then on the day, whatever you did, it just got me in that energy the entire time. So no, it's fucking unique. It's fucking phenomenal, which brings me to my question. I want to touch on something you said. You said some clients aren't comfortable with that. So what are your thoughts? How do you deal with, where are you at with saying no to clients that don't do the thing or are not at the level that you know you're in alignment with?
I just meet people where they're at. And I've always been so intuitive and I'm a feeler. So as soon as I meet people, you know, it's like even if you meet someone for the first time, do you go in for the kiss? Do you go in for the hug? Do you go in for the handshake?
Yes.
Right? So most people will really understand that. So I basically will, within like 10 seconds, know exactly what I'm sort of going with.
Yeah,
And then if I'm not sure, I'll just ask and just be like, hey, how do you feel? Like, shall we do a quick drop in before you start, or are you good to go?
Yeah.
And then I just kind of, see.
Yeah, so that's interesting. We're a little bit different because we all just develop our own strategies, right? In our internal toolbox. I just go for the fucking hug. I'm like, I'm a hugger.
Yes.
I know hugging isn't inappropriate on kind of like an objective standard being measured. Now, some people mightn't like it, and then they'll tell me if that's kind of at their level. Kissing is obviously in that space where that could be questionable, so I'm not doing that. I'm a hugger. I'm going to lead with the hug. But if I can then tell it's a fuck no from you in this hug, I'm not going to continue to hug you. I'm not going to hug you goodbye, hug you hello again next time.
Yes.
I've kind of like gone the opposite. But like there's no right or wrong, right? It's just how different we do business and life.
100%. And so many of my clients, they are neurodiverse.
Yep.
So I am, there's a question in my questionnaire about cultural or physical or any sort of, if there's anything that's going to sort of impact the photo shoot, like let me know.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people will write that in there.
Yeah, beautiful.
And then I can just sort of go, oh, great. Like I know exactly where we're at before we even get to that orcs stage.
Yeah.
But I'm a hugger as well. And I think there's something so intimate about a photography shoot.
Yes.
And something that's probably not really talked about, but there is definitely a feeling like I'm seeing you.
Yep.
And you're being so vulnerable in front of my lens. And I've had my photo taken before and the photographer hasn't felt safe for me.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't able to let my mask off or like let my guard down. And I think I'm probably more aware of this and, especially about consent and touching and all of that because I do come from that birth photography background.
Yeah.
And I spent, 9 years being a birth photographer and doula. So, in the birth space, you're dealing with birthing people being their most vulnerable.
So vulnerable. Yeah, so you can house a lot of vulnerability. You would be able to house a lot of vulnerability for others. That's beautiful.
I love it. Like sometimes I get people crying in my photo shoots. I'm like, great, I'm here for this. Yeah. And then it's like afterwards, they're just like, holy moly, like I didn't know where that came from. I'm like, beautiful. This is your upgrade here. Like you're just going to fly. That might have been a block that we just cleared or, and then it's just, I love that surprise element. I did a photo shoot for a beautiful client. She's a repeat client from Melbourne. And it was very last minute. I was just like, come in, like I'm here, like come and do some headshots. There were a couple of shots that we didn't get from her last photo shoot.
Yep.
And she just messaged me the other day, voice noted me, and it was incredible. Like what she said to me, because there was no intention behind it, it was just like, oh, let's just get these missing shots. She was like, I've birthed this whole new offer from it. I didn't even know that what these photos were drawing me into was this like amazing thing that she's creating that I can't share yet. And she was just like, those photos, that was my gateway. Like, I can't believe that this was it. And I was like, oh, like full body goosebumps.
Like, I get it. That resonates with me so deeply. I was in a space the other day where, like sometimes you can energetically shift out and sometimes you just can't. But I had to do this thing where I really needed to be in my higher self energy. I opened those photos, those not the final ones.
The sneak peek.
And I looked at them and I looked at the one that I knew I needed to look at and I could draw in from that to drop in to then do the thing. So, like, it is just powerful, isn't it?
Wow.
Like, isn't that powerful? I suppose... Have you always like understood and operated an energy in your business like this? Or is this like an evolution?
Yeah, I think I've always been doing it without even consciously
knowing.
Yeah. So I think it's just been something, and I've always sort of had a camera in my hands. It was, growing up, my dad was a hobbyist. So I always had access to cameras, even if it was like, I remember being 12 years old going on my school camp and I had the camera, and it was film back then, obviously. And I've just always had a camera in my hands. And I just think about like, if there was a fire, what is the first thing you're going to grab?
Me? Okay, good question. Let me think. My kids is the first thing that came to my mind.
Besides from your kids.
Okay, well, I'm just being truthful.
And your fur babies.
About the first thing. Yep. Okay, so like, what would I grab? My phone.
Interesting. What's on your phone?
Pictures, videos,
Yeah.
fuck.
Right. Memories. And that's why I'm like a memory hoarder, literally. But I would grab my photo albums and I would grab all my hard drives and my USBs. And every time we've had a family photo session, I'm like, okay, they're all on the external hard drives. So that's the first thing we grab, right? Because we can't get those back.
Fuck, that's interesting. I didn't know. I felt a bit ashamed when I just said my phone, but that was genuinely what came to me. But then you asked me why. And then the next thread came, well, it's obviously because my whole life is on there.
100%.
Every picture from in the birthing room before my evolution as a person. Like, yeah, it is. It's those pictures. It's those memories. It's those love heart activations, the feel good shit.
Yeah, I'm getting full body shivers right now because it's so true. Like that's literally like, what else do we have? And then you think about like, this is probably getting a bit dark now, but like if you go to a funeral, that's what they play, like the slideshow of people's lives. And I just think, oh my gosh, like life is so precious, life is so short that we get to do this. Like, let's take some photos. And so many people will say to me, especially when I was in the family photography space, I can't get photos because I need to lose 5 kilos, or I've got my big tummy from when I was pregnant still.
I'll do it when I'm perfect.
I'll do it when. I'm like, babe, your kids are growing up. Like, get in the photo. And predominantly as mothers, we are the ones taking the iPhone photos, right?
Yes.
Of our partners and our kids, and we're not in them.
I'm doing the selfies. I must admit, I'm breaking the stereotype in that I very rarely capture my husband with the kids. And it's not because he's not there. It's just because I have no desire to. But I selfie with the kids or the kids on their own. Like, that's my game. And, like, almost never will my husband do it. No, that's not true. He does it. And he takes really good photos too. So he probably gives them more than me. But you're absolutely right.
Like, get in the photo.
What you'd said, life, at the end of the day, drill it all fucking down. We might be engineered to survive, but we're all about love and connection. Where the fuck do we go wrong as a society? This is going totally off topic in terms of business or anything.
Bring it on.
When you were saying it, I was just thinking it, like, where the fuck do we go wrong in starting to worry about shit like how I look, how I present, what others might think of me, how I might then not show up? Because for some it's not in front of a camera, but for others it's not in a specific way with their children, in a vulnerable way, for example. For others it might not be showing up to that networking event and making those friendships. Like, where the fuck, and like, how do we fix it? And I know we shouldn't be fixing it, but as in fixing isn't the technically correct word, but I do believe that we should try and revert back to a life where we are more soul and heart-led than we are conditioning and fear-led.
Oh, 100%. I also think, so like when I get stuck in my sort of like when my limiting beliefs, or I call it like my little big bird, my evil big bird on my shoulder, when that sort of shows up and I feel really stuck and I'm like, oh, this is like unusual for me because I'm really good at taking risks and I'm really good at feeling the fear and doing it anyway. I'm like, okay, cool. What haven't I done today? Like, have I moved my body?
Yeah.
Have I drunk enough water? Have I sat with gratitude? Have I journaled? When was the last time I meditated? Do I need to get outside and feel the sun on my face? Do I need to ground my feet?
Beautiful.
And because I know when I'm feeling stuck, I start to get the anxious.
Yes. Yes.
Moments.
It means you're out of your body. It means
100%.
you're running away. Like, come back.
100%. And so if I've done all of those things and I'm still feeling stuck, I'm like, oh, okay.
Retrograde? Mercury retrograde?
I'm like, can I blame someone else now? Thanks. Can I blame a planet? And no, and then I'm like, I know that there's something else going on that's a subconscious program that I haven't actually looked at. So then I'm like, call a friend. I'm like, where's my NLP? Like, I might need a timeline reset, or I might be, there might be something else for me to look at. And I love that though, because that's the self-awareness. I think there's a lot of women, especially, who are sitting in the audience. They're not ready to get on the stage. And I get really sad about that because I know actually what that feels like. I know what it feels like to feel that, like, oh, what are people going to think of me? oh, I can't post that selfie without makeup because I just don't look great, or I can't do an Instagram live because what happens if Aunt Sue and Uncle Bob are watching and they're going to tell XYZ, or
Yep.
whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and it's usually other people
Yeah.
and what they think about us. And I just got to the point in my life where I was like, I don't want to be on my deathbed and think about, fuck, I shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah.
Like, this is my one life.
Your one shot, one opportunity.
My
What's
one
that song?
shot life.
Yeah.
And I want to really just grab it by the balls and go, cool, I actually did everything that I wanted to do. Right?
100%. Like, preaching to the choir. And the thing about sitting in the audience, because I can't really relate to sitting in the audience, and not getting on the stage. Because as a kid, I suppose I felt someone had to get on the fucking stage and start doing some shit. But when I was on the stage, in my perception of my story, and definitely in the reality as a kid, I was busy getting rejected. So I would get on the stage no matter what, but I could never enjoy being on the stage.
Interesting.
I couldn't enjoy it because what I was perceiving is yucky, icky, too much, gross, rejection, abandonment. And so, like, I would get up no matter what because I know I'm right and I know it's how it's meant to be. And I know I'm, like, you're in a calling for it. But I could never, ever, ever enjoy the beauty and the glory of being on the motherfucking stage until I released some really big wounds.
So is that what changed for you?
That is what changed for me and what's allowed me to make my next quantum leap. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I've got so many pieces. Personal development is my bread and butter. I froth every single element of it. And, my journey started personally. Like, it had nothing to do with business. It was a personal healing journey. And then as I started in the business space and the blocks came up, I had tools and techniques that worked personally that I knew would work in the business. Yes. And so now it's just a bit of this blend, but then as I do, I teach. And so that passion, and then that block earlier this year that came up for me between, I said to you, I don't know whether that was before the podcast started or not, but like I knew that inner calling was to start it. I knew my programming was I would get out of it. I have learned to hack the system in. I book the studio. I pay the producer. I lock myself in, and then I'm forced to do the work.
100%.
And I'm ready every time. And there's no self-sabotaging and delays. And it was in that body of work leading up to this where I did it around wounds, around expression.
Oh, let's talk. Oh my gosh, I could talk about this because this came up for me before I started my podcast, which is currently on hold, but I did it every single week for over a year. I was very proud of myself. And that's exactly what came up for me. I knew I needed to do a podcast, but I had blocks in my throat chakra and about speaking my truth.
Yep.
And about self-expression. And it was really, really scary for me.
Yep.
And I hired a gorgeous, gorgeous coach, Sally Prosser, shout out.
Beautiful.
Who, when we were doing, so she helped me prep for the podcast because I was like, I just need to know how to speak, which isn't that interesting? Like,
it's your way of saying help,
right?
Guide.
Oh my gosh, it was so, so interesting. And we got quite deep into it. And
it is a quite deep one.
It is.
You ain't getting out of it without deep level work.
Oh my gosh. And what we worked out was, so I've got two beautiful babies. One was born via cesarean, and then I had Isabella at home, and so I birthed her vaginally, and that opened up a creative portal that I didn't understand before. And the voice, is it the voice box or the larynx? What's it called?
Larynx. I don't know.
Larynx?
I don't know technical.
That is actually, if you look on the an anatomy, it's actually very, very similar to the cervix.
Oh, okay.
Like they model each other.
Heard.
Yeah. So it was almost, so as soon as I birthed her, like afterwards, I had this inkling and this memory of being groomed by my high school teacher. And I was like, hang on a minute.
I get goosebumps.
Yeah, it was really interesting because I'd kind of locked it away.
Yeah, we do. Coping mechanism.
And there's also some like memory loss around some certain events. But what's really interesting is I went, hang on, that's not okay. And I need to like now action. Like it was like
action.
this action moment in me. And so I remember Googling his name and he was still working at a school. And I was like, how would I feel if my son or daughter had an experience? I was like, okay. So I actually went and did the full detective, like the whole statement. And
Woo!
It was really beautiful because I feel like that was my first step in releasing the blockage that I wasn't able to express back then.
Yes. Yes, yes.
And then I was able to launch my podcast.
How cool is it? How cool is it? It is phenomenal. It is just, and it's literally wounds that we carry that our bodies show up. So for me, my block, when I drilled down to it, so when I was little, well, and then big, like forever, I was the only one in my family that saw the shit show and that recognized it was a shit show. Like everyone back then evidently said, this is the best house, you've got the best father, you're so lucky you have a roof, look at all your opportunities, he comes to your nipple, blah, 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 blah. My dad was very physically and emotionally abusive, and he was narcissistic and like bad.
I'm so sorry.
So a great person inside love, we all have it, but like outwardly a lot of damage.
Right.
I've done a lot of work on it, so I can now love him for everything that I got and equally call his bullshit out for all the fucking wrath it causes. Yes. And I can acknowledge a lot of those parts and what I was and what I've had to release to not repeat the pattern, right?
100%. The cycle ends.
It does. But when I was then going like through childhood, but even particularly 14, 15 and 16, as I was growing up and stronger in my power, because like I said to you, I've always had that power and I always got up on that stage and nothing could keep me back. Nothing could keep me back, but it could suck the joy out of it. And he would berate me, is the best word to describe it, like venomous, like angry, aggressive, like words, yelling, sometimes running towards you, like he's going to punch you, so you kind of like bail down. But then after I've now, and this is like because I'm saying, hey, don't hit mum, right?
Oh, gosh.
And so then after speaking up about something that I was seeing, obviously that triggers him, that response comes. But then, funnily enough, none of those were the wounds. The wound was, and I kind of wrote it off as insignificant until I did this work for the podcast, he would send me to the bathroom for hours and hours and hours on end as the punishment.
Okay.
So the memory pattern I'd built and the emotions that followed with that then blocked was when I speak my truth and it triggers someone else, it hurts them and consequently I get rejected and abandoned and sent out to the exiles. And so that was the story. And when I shed that and released that and saw that for what it is, like there will be people that reject and abandon and do all those things, right? Like my podcast is not for everyone. But when I released that, that's when you go, I don't want you anyway. And that doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means you're not my tribe by a fucking long mile. Get out, you know? And then I'm speaking so that those who are like me and in alignment with me can hear me. And I can only do that from the fullest expression. And it brought joy. You can see the joy. You can see the joy.
Oh, you're so
it
light.
Brought joy.
Yes.
Into the process that for so long I did, and I did anyway. I always did it, but it was so loaded and heavy and, you know, like it's
Let's
so...
just unpack that a little bit because a bathroom, and I'm not sure what your bathroom looked like. Generally, they're smaller spaces.
It was the cubicle. It was the toilet cubicle.
Okay, so we've got coldness, dampness, and also usually there's a mirror.
There wasn't a mirror in mine.
Oh, interesting. So I was going to say, like, the reflection
that would have been
of shame and sadness and guilt and, like, all of that would have been reflected back to you.
Absolutely. That coldness is definitely, you're exactly right. It was a cubicle, and then I'm still me. So I go, that's okay. I'll take my doona and my book in and I'll read. No doona, no book. Okay, like, and I'm not old enough to learn that just do it.
Yeah,
And
don't say it
doubt.
beforehand.
But I'm probably doing it to gain power and control in a scenario that I'm
Yes.
totally fucking out of control and
Right.
vulnerable. And then I would sit in there and I'm not allowed food, water. So like my binge eating and like my mum would sometimes come and be like, because then my dad's a drinker. He died from drinking too much. So liver failure. So anyways, he would like pass out because it's like usually happens on a Saturday or a Sunday, most prominently, right? And my mum's like, just come out. And when he wakes up and I'm like, fuck no, I'm not coming out. But you know what that signals? There's people who believe you but who's not brave enough to follow you, so no one's going to follow you. So can you imagine that block in my business? So the bottom line is the fucking quantum leaps in business you can access and get from personal development is phenomenal.
Oh, starting a business itself is the
Yeah.
biggest thing
Mirror.
you'll ever do for looking at your shit.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, anyone running a business, it's the mindset, right?
Absolutely.
So the personal development has to come.
It has to.
Otherwise, if you're not willing to change, evolve, look at where your blocks are, look at where your, roadblocks are, all of that, you're just not going to get anywhere.
You're capped. You're
Yeah.
capped and eventually you'll burn out because what you're capped and trapped in is patterns that show up, that's self-abandonment patterns in whatever way, shape or form, and you'll be overwhelmed way more than you're balanced. You will be controlling, manipulating, pushing. All of that is giving energy. You'll burn out, which is why I'm such a firm believer that like everyone obviously should do personal development. But there was a report released, I think it was November last year, global study, global.
Interesting, yeah.
83% of Australians reported that they are currently experiencing burnout, and we were the country with the highest.
Why do you think that is?
Great question. Why do I think that is? For Australia specifically,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, the first thing that comes to me when you ask that question is it because our culture and our way of dealing with things is she'll be right, mate? And so she'll be right is like, I'll be right, she'll be right, but like personal development requires you to go, she can be way better. She can thrive.
I think it's a lot of what we consume.
But that's everywhere. That's not unique to Australia.
No, it's not unique to Australia. But
Because you're right, consuming fear-based shit content will...
low vibe, low frequency. If, my husband, oh my gosh, like every morning I get up and he's got the news on. And I was like, dude, we've talked about this.
Yeah,
Like,
we don't...
turn it off.
Yeah, I don't watch it and we're not allowed to put it on in my house. Like my husband can watch it wherever, but he doesn't.
I mean, each to their own, but I was like, he's like, I just watch it to see the Weather Channel. I was like, get your phone. There's an app for that. But everything, like, listen to the words that are being said. And, every news story is fear-based and scary, and the economy's going to shit and prices are rising.
Yeah, it's low vibe.
All
100% low vibe.
So we are in that fear.
Yeah.
And when we're kept in that fear base, then our immune system's lower. We're actually out of our, we're not able to make better decisions either.
No, because
So we might spend money on, things we don't need.
Yeah, because you're not grounded. Yeah, you're reactive.
It's so interesting. So, yeah.
It really, really is. Like, that is such an interesting point. I'm so glad you brought it up because that brings me to my next topic on that, which is what the fuck are we doing in politics?
A brand photographer that's going to talk about politics.
Well, yeah,
now.
because what we're talking about is politicians that mirrors the Australian... It's all a mirror, right? So the news mirrors this messaging of fear and trauma and what's going wrong. And it's like, let's say a child died. I'm not saying that shouldn't be reported on. I'm just saying an example. A child died in the pool. All we hear today is the 3 children in all of Australia that died in the pool. What we do not hear for one split second is the 100,000, probably million children that swim today, had fun, connected, laughter, sunshine, right? So the messaging we hear, so our politics is the same. We hear what everyone else is doing wrong, which is such a fucking joke to start with because pointing out others' mistakes is not leadership. We hear what's wrong that they'll fix to kind of like a bare minimum standard versus, here's where I'm going with it. Where's the leader? Where is the leader that has the vision, the higher vibrational frequency vision, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
and that believes that vision enough to co-create it. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, where? Surely he or she exists.
To me, it's a theatrical show, and we're not going to get too much into that, but it's definitely, if people were to be healthy, like if I was to go to you, okay, let's talk about health, right? It would be, okay, let's exercise. Let's make sure that we're knowing exactly what our preservatives in the food are doing to us, or let's make sure there's a tax on fast food, for example, or things that are actually really carcinogenic for us. And let's make sure that we know that fruit and veggies are really good and they're easy to make, and like all of those things, like make sure we're drinking water, not Coke. Like, I mean, I love a good Coke.
We all do, and it's balance, right?
But I'm so aware of what my body needs.
Yeah.
Am I meditating? Like all of those things I spoke about before. And I just don't think today's leaders actually want us to be in a healthy state, because if they did, there would be more talk about, you know, how we can like be in our bodies.
Well, 83% of Australians would not be experiencing burnout to start with.
Exactly.
The mental health statistics is fucking bad. I don't even want to get into it because I feel so helpless.
And the domestic violence stats as well.
Yep.
Yep. And
so
even
it's just, we need a leader
yes,
who has done personal, that is meant to be a politician, right? Like knows that lay of the land, who has done the inner work. That is my firm belief.
I love
because
it.
what you're then doing too, even when you're solving problems with each other, is like you're not going into parliament yelling at each other like little children, which no healthy human should ever do to another human.
It's
and if you
embarrassing.
find yourself accidentally yelling because you're triggered, you acknowledge, you apologize. We work together by hearing your view, my view. What's the need underneath that for you, really? What's the need underneath for you, really? How can we work together? Like, where the fuck is a government not doing that? But it's not just Australia. Like, that government I'm describing doesn't exist from what I know kind of anywhere in the main, anywhere. But one government has to go first, right?
Yeah.
And who better than Australians?
So if you're listening and you're into politics,
Yes, good.
and personal development,
Good.
get on it.
Get on
Because we
it.
need a leader who is self-aware, who knows how to consciously communicate in a
Yes.
dispute, and have that.
Connects people. Doesn't go for the
100%.
disconnect strategies, the connect. Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't
It's
it?
the same in business though. Like sometimes I read, especially in the coaching world, I don't know if this irks you, but
It's okay.
that fear-based marketing.
Yeah.
And it's very much, this is your problem, I've got the solution, buy my shit. And I just find like that's so 1980s. Like, let's let that go.
I love that.
Don't you think? Like,
So this is interesting because it's something that I'm currently unresolved on. Right? So it's actually something that I've become conscious of now as a human being, like, and as where I'm at in my entrepreneurship and in my leadership and my business. But I'm unresolved on it because I know that I have read the ones that's shame-based. And
Shame,
that I can
yes.
very fucking easily tell you. I can see it a
Yes.
mile away and it's a hard motherfucking no. Done.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether this is your experience or whether you can relate to it. But at the start of my journey, right, I was rock bottom and burnt out, by the way, like bad. And I could not tell you, Belle, where I wanted to go. I couldn't tell you in words where I was heading, but I could tell you what I was heading away from.
Yeah.
So I couldn't see the, like, not even the end. I couldn't see 2 steps ahead. But I could go, no matter what, I don't stand for this. And so what am I moving away from? And so this is a really big topic in something I'm working on at the moment, because when I'm creating my programs, I'm creating it from everything. Like, I've taken steps. If I turn around, my programs reflect where I've come to. So if you see me and you like where I've come to, that's where I guide and lead you towards. Naturally, by the time you're there, I'm there. And so
Yes.
I'm never leading, obviously, there. But when I'm marketing here, the further along I've moved on that trajectory, the bigger the gap between the people I can help. And I'm very conscious of the fact that these people will hear when I describe the outcomes. They'll hear it. They'll be able to hear it on a like soul level, for lack of a better word, an energetic level. But these guys won't. They won't. It'll be unbelievable. It'll be too far. It will be. And so for me, it's that piece in finding the balance between pain point and pleasure point or whatever you want to call it. But it's where I've landed to now is obviously, well, I didn't land there. It's just a natural given, like no shame. It's not shaming people, like in it. Like if you this, then this, and that's why that. And you know what I mean? Like you don't want people to feel shit about where they are. Guess what? You were there. Guess what? Everyone's human and there. You want to inspire change and you want to show it's possible.
Yeah,
Thoughts?
I really love that. I really think I know exactly what that's like because in Camera Queens, we had people who weren't even photographers, but they just wanted to work with me or they wanted to be in my space.
Yes, your energy.
Yeah, be my energy. And then we had, photographers doing 10K months and so there was the whole spectrum. And I know exactly, when I was marketing, I was like, oh, who am I talking to? Am I talking to that real hobbyist or am I talking to the professional? And then I just went, you know what? I'm just going to trust that whenever I open my mouth, my message will be felt, it will be heard, and the people that need it will be magnetized towards me.
Yes.
And I'm just going to, if I can just be me, that's my, people talk about this North Star or your compass or whatever. I'm like, I'm the fucking compass.
I am the compass.
So I just was like, if I can be so grounded and so in my body and just show up as me, warts and all, and I speak so openly a lot of the time about what I've gone through and my struggles and things like that. And then I'm just like, I just trust that the people who need that message will come to me.
It'll activate them.
Yeah.
It will. And I think that requires a blend. Sometimes it's the sharing the darker side of your story that will activate because you'll share the darker side, but they'll see the person in front of them today and they'll go, it's possible, because just that energetic knowing, is it? Whether you follow it or not is a different question. But when you speak the results, you'll also activate people that's at that level. So it's just, you're exactly right. Getting out of our brains and into our hearts and operating from an expansive place is the fucking way to go. It's the 5D way of running business. And everyone's eventually, in my opinion, and I can't wait for when, I can't not wait because I don't want it to happen, but it's my honest belief that it will and it's already happening. When I can listen back to this podcast and go,
I called it.
I fucking called it so early, motherfuckers. And because it's not the person, it's like corporate is everything. It symbolizes everything that's a wounded masculine energy. It just does. It was created by men for men to start with, historically speaking. It was men creating it.
It's like that soldier.
Well, it's the men. So it's not even the healthy men of today that's done healing and showing up and starting to work through their wounds. It's men way back fucking when who wasn't allowed to feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah, boys
who
don't
had
cry.
treated their wives like shit. Not everyone, given, but you know what I mean? I'm going with the stereotypes. And so that's the space the woman belongs kind of there. The whole thing is birthed through those people. That's where it started. And so it's a wounded masculine kind of energy. And that's why we're all burning out. That's why the statistics is horrific. And this way of being that, I've been able to embody in my business, that flowing, expressive, exactly what you've just, not the overthinking, not the calculating. It's a game changer and we'll all head there.
100%. But it's a balance though as well, because I know without the masculine,
healthy masculine, wounded mouth.
No, the healthy
distinct
masculine.
Difference. Yep.
We need that structure.
Absolutely.
The consistency.
Absolutely.
And for me with ADHD,
Absolutely.
if it's not in my timetable, in my calendar, it doesn't exist.
Yes.
And if I don't have 20 timers going off a day,
it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. So I actually need to create that safe structural space.
Definitely.
For me to sit in my feminine and to
feel
really
safe in sitting in your feminine.
100%, and tap into that intuition and that creativity and that full body knowing and that trust.
Yep.
Of, okay, I might not have any inquiries right now, but I'm going to sit in that gratitude and trust. Look at what you've achieved. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, measuring versus acknowledging.
100%. And then inquiries just flood through. Or people just go, oh my gosh, or send me a beautiful voice note. So interesting, isn't it? But I think so many times we can, or I know for myself, I can revert quite easily. It's like that elastic band that kind of pulls me back into that space of what I was like before I'd done any work.
Well, that's because that was our conditioning for the majority of our life. So that takes time, right?
Most of my life, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it pulls me back, and then I'm like, oh, cool, do the work. Like,
yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And I couldn't agree more with the masculine in the business. But it's not the corporate world, because for me, the corporate world is a wounded masculine energy by and large.
Honestly,
and so
I
it's
can't
like
believe
that.
you were in that space for such a long time.
So tell me about your exit. Because you'd said earlier, which I didn't even know, like I suppose I looked at you and just thought this was always the way it's been. Interesting.
Yeah.
But then you mentioned earlier you were in the corporate space. So like what were you doing? And then tell me about the exit out.
Yeah.
Backing yourself, stepping into that power.
I was an immigration officer, and so I was, in the public service for a really long time. I went on long service leave in 2019, and then I came back in 2020 for I think I lasted 2 days. And I
Because you'd exited out of the system.
Oh my goodness. And I remember being in my red tartan suit. I'd gone to work, and I literally was wearing this red tartan suit, and I looked around, and I've got so many friends still in that space.
Yeah, absolutely.
But everyone just seemed so small and grey and
lifeless.
I didn't want to say that, but that's
that's what it is, and I call things because it is.
And I was actually feeling a bit nauseous because there's no fresh air, you're in aircon, and I was like, what is going on? And I'm so used to,
because you just had
all this time off and
birthed
out.
life. You saw it from the. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then I just handed in my resignation, and I was just like, I just can't come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my goodness. So yeah, that was sort of my experience. And I was so lucky for so many years because I was able to run my business part-time and also do my corporate, job part-time. So it was like having the best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's that saying,
I can relate.
like the universe, I made you move because you were so comfortable or something. I had to make you move.
Yep.
And that was there was something that happened that, made me actually go, oh, hang on a minute, I don't want this.
Yes.
And otherwise I would have probably stayed.
Yeah.
And when you go out, when you actually put it all on the line, oh my God, I'm going to be a full-time photography coach. I'm going to be in my business.
So confronting, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. I keep saying, I felt like I jumped off a rock and I was just free falling.
Yeah.
And I had to trust.
And not the good kind.
Yeah. It was like, holy shit. Now
maybe liberating, but scary.
Oh my gosh. Now I have to do all the things. Yeah. And I'm the responsible one for doing everything in my business.
Yeah.
And it was just you fly. You crash and burn, or you fly.
You fly.
So that's why I've been full time now for 5 years.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, I could talk with you for probably 5 hours, but we have reached the end of the podcast. Yes, see, we could sit here forever, I reckon. It's amazing. Thank you so much for bringing your energy and your person and your heart to the Grow and Expand with S podcast, Belle. I really, truly appreciate it. I appreciate you. You lift up. You lift people up, and that's rare.
Oh, I love this. Can you just record this and I can play it? Oh, you are recording. Just jokes.
I see what you did there.
Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Thank you for bringing your voice and your expression to the world. It's amazing to have met you. I'm so glad you connected with that post on Fusion as well.
Yes, Fusion. Shout out to Fusion Biz & Co. Is that right?
Fusion Biz
best
Co.
business networking group ever. The best women in it, the best opportunities, love their heart, love their energy too.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Belle. Mwah.